Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Slawomir.
Hi,
Hi, nice
Slawomir.
to meet you. Sudhanshu, and this is the
Shresth.
Shresth.
This is
Shresth.
Shresth. Shresth. Yeah.
How do I pronounce your name?
Slav is fine. Don't worry, Slav is fine. I got used to
Sla-
Slav.
Slav.
Slav, yeah, it's the just don't make me slow. If United States folks sometimes make me slow, they spell it slow, and don't make me slave. Once I got that one as well. So they asked me how what's your name on Starbucks? I said Slav, and then they said Black Americano for
Slave.
slave. That was a bit weird, but Slav is fine.
Slawomir.
Yeah, I was just asking that where are you currently based out of?
Currently, I'm in Valencia, in Spain. That will change pretty soon.
Okay.
We have put our channel's name right now. That is Data C. Okay. Very short intro. I'm Sudhanshu. I have 1.5 years of experience in this field. Totally new. Just joined last year. I'm currently working as a business analyst at New Taste. Before that, I worked in EdTech platform that was Intenshala. Our My co-host is Shresth, and Shresth is a data and AI consultant at EY. He has been working for more than 2 years. Today with us we have Slawomir
Yeah.
Tulski. He's independent data consultant
Maybe
and
let Slav introduce himself. Right.
okay, okay,
Slav, would you mind giving us a quick introduction? Yeah.
yeah,
Sure, I can do very quick one. So I'm Slav, that's how everyone calls me. So right now I'm independent data consultant. I started my own solo business, but last 8 years, almost 7.5, I was at Meta. I started as a data engineer and then I moved to leadership. So last 4.5, I think, years I was data engineering manager out there. And before Meta, I was in various startups, smaller and bigger startups in the UK London scene, some fintech companies, some web scraping companies. Altogether, more than decade of experience here. That's
that
a
Awesome.
quick
Yeah.
intro.
yeah, that's quite an experience. Like almost 5 times or 10 times of ours. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
everyone starts somewhere, so that's not a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. So
I think you mentioned that you have been, I think, in the industry for almost 10 years, right?
More than 10 years.
Uh, I mean, more than 10 years.
Yeah.
But were you actually from the technical background? I mean, did you get your degree in the technology domain, CS something?
So that's a longer story, but the short answer is no. I mean, I don't have software engineering background, so I converted.
Okay.
My bachelor degree is actually in land surveying. So those weird dudes on the the construction site with the tripod device, and they
oh
measure some weird things. So that's
Yes,
what I
yes,
was
yes, yes,
doing for a
yes.
bachelor.
yeah, yeah.
That was a random choice. I was young. I didn't know what I'm gonna be doing. So I liked math. I liked geography. And I was like, oh, they require that thing. I have no idea what they're doing, but that sounds. The name was fun for me, so yeah, I started. And I was partying for 3 years, and then I got the first job as a land surveyor. And yeah, I hated it. I really, really hated it. I realized that my life will be terrible. Uh, so I really, really took things seriously. So before this really first real job as a land surveyor, it was party time. But then I took things seriously and I converted to the something which was close. It was called geoinformatics. So that was kind of remote sensing, analyzing data from satellites, geographic informational systems, and I moved towards the academia. So I became an assistant professor. I started doing some research. I had some papers. I had the PhD laid out for me. So I supposed to be a PhD, and I started working in the field as well for the remote sensing, and I was doing actually machine learning. So it was more than 10 years ago. So it was not AI as we have right nowadays, but I started doing machine learning, the automated building detection from different images, so that there were aerial images. So yeah, academia, research, and I was doing also this ML related work and remote sensing, and I barely could survive. I don't know how much you know about academia, but academia life is not so rosy. And then this ML related stuff I was doing, it was actually not a software engineering company. They were not in software engineering
Right.
sector. So I realized that I'm doing professional software engineering. I'm doing Python. I'm doing machine learning, and I'm getting pennies for that, like literally pennies. I could not, the two jobs, working day in, the night out, and I couldn't survive. So I dropped everything and I moved from Poland to UK, and I said I just want to be software engineer. I'm doing it anyway. I was doing this for this startup, so I said screw it. I'm gonna be software engineer. I didn't even know data engineering exists at that time, so I moved to software
Yeah.
engineering. And then gradually, when I was in software engineering position, like every single next role was more and more closer to data engineering, and I learned about that, which kind of makes sense because when you look at my background with the academia, with the remote
Right.
sensing, data, machine learning, that was kind of closer to data engineering than to software engineering. So I gradually, naturally, migrated towards the data engineering, and I stayed there. I love it. That's where my place is.
Is it like data engineering itself is like 30 to 40% of software engineering,
It really
or more than that?
depends. I would say it depends from your company. So the data engineering it's getting better and better when it comes to the clear definition of the role, but you still see very like different profiles of people in different companies. So I work with people who call themselves data engineers, and I would call them BI developers, or I would call them, 10 years ago, you would call them ETL developers.
Right.
Some data engineers are more on the platform side, and I would call them software engineers because they build platform. They think about system design, how to put all the pieces together. So it really depends what you do as a data engineer. I think there is still a lot of variety across the industry, and the term itself is not well established. It's getting there. So
I mean,
we like
let's
last
say
couple
if
of years we've got analytics engineers. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I think in last few months, I've been spending time on this tool called as Microsoft Fabric. Have you heard about this?
Yeah. I don't have much experience about in Fabric itself, but yeah, the tool itself, that then yeah, I'm familiar with.
Yeah. So my primary role on the tool was to design ETL pipelines and
Yeah,
maybe writing some ETL PySpark notebooks.
yeah,
But also that was like 40 to 50% of the work. Other than that, deployment of the pipeline, maybe some CI/CD principle. That
yeah.
is, do you consider this as a part of data engineering, or is it more of a software engineering? Or a data engineer should know these concepts to be called as a
Yeah.
data engineer?
I think you should know, like, definitely pipelining, building ETL or ELT, whatever pipelines. That's definitely data engineering
Right.
for me. When it comes to the deployment itself, I think it's really useful knowledge to have. And the reality of the industry is, if you're in startup, you most probably gonna be handling those things yourself. And when I was in startups, I was doing the deployments myself. I was writing deployment scripts. We were trying to put proper CI/CD out there. So keeping infra and keeping the DevOps kind of part was on the data engineers. Now, is it software
Right.
engineering? Yes. Like, in general, when you think about software engineers, there's like a lot of specializations. There are DevOps, whatever, if you want to call them software engineers or not. They are somewhere out there. And the deployment itself, that would be normally, DevOps stuff. But if there are no DevOps out there and you need to put your platform, you're gonna do it as a data engineer. So I think this is a gray area when it comes to the deployment, but when it comes to the pipelines themselves, I would say definitely yes. I mean, I don't know a single data engineer who can't build pipelines.
Yeah, I mean, I think these days these tools have made it easy, right? I think Data Factory, to some extent, the if we do not go by the coding part here, the drag and drop options, these Data Factory pipelines that allow, I think to some extent it has made the process easy, right?
Yeah, it made it. The history here is actually funny because, like, if we are excited right now about the drag and drop tools, they've been there like 20 years ago, right? So if you were like back in the days, they would call you ETL
Right,
developer probably if you build pipelines, and you
Right.
would work with, I don't know, SSIS or any other drag and drop proprietary tools like Microsoft or whatever. There were drag and drop tools to build ETLs as well,
right,
but they were slowing us down. They were really tied to the specific vendor, and the modern kind of data engineering started to evolve a lot of open source, and people moved away from those. And nowadays, I see that we are getting back to them, but with better options, with more open source options, with better options from vendors. So the drag and drop is back, and it's not a bad thing. If it makes your life easier,
right.
if you can ship faster, that's great.
So did you?
Do you work on any such tool?
Yeah.
Sorry, Sudhanshu.
Yeah, it's okay. The same question I wanted to ask. So did you work with any kind of these tools like just drag and drop, or your mostly work revolved around coding? So basically coding everything.
So so at Meta, we like the before Meta, we were spinning our own platforms, and that was all on the open source. And we didn't want to use any vendor drag and drop. And the tooling, like the Airflow was hot thing at that time. Like when
Yeah.
I was in startups, like Airflows started to become a thing, right? So we would call Airflow like a new shiny thing back then.
Yeah.
Probably. So we were doing those kind of things. Then I moved to Meta, and at Meta we had not there anymore, but we had Data Swarm, and Data Swarm is kind of like Airflow. It works SQL based thing, so you don't have drag and drop. You write SQL. Probably still, Data Swarm is not a secret. I mean, you can find some papers around that and some talks and blog posts, official blog posts from Meta about that. It's not the most exciting technology. It's just like kind of Airflow where you put your SQL into the operator and you stitch together operators. And so like really, really similar to Airflow or Luigi or any of those ETL tools where you actually put the code. But not, I don't have like experience in those drag and drop tools. But that's easy one. I mean, if I need to, I can pick it up quickly. Those are easy tools, right? Usually.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see if we have another question. Okay. So as you have already like we are on the same topic. We were discussing that you spend most of
Yeah.
your time at Meta, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so how much did it change in terms of technologies like uh, being used for the data engineering or analytics, right? As compared to like from the beginning to right now, and how did you actually handle that change, like with the tools
Oh
and the
yeah.
technologies?
That's a really good question. And a lot of things change. Like so, Meta is like everything at Meta is more or less internal. They have Spark, yeah, sure. But the tools are internally built most of the times, right? So I've been in a bubble for a while. So how things changed like completely. Like we didn't have lake houses when I was in startups. The iceberg is super hot right nowadays. I think it was really it's rather. I think it was already there, but it was not to the degree it is right now. Now it's a standard.
Right.
Fabric, Snowflake was starting being popular. Fabric, I don't remember even that name being dropped there. Maybe it was there, maybe not. Databricks, like all those modern stack kind of tooling that came after. So when I left Meta, I was a little bit terrified, right? Because you suddenly go there and you like you
There are
heard
so
those
many new
names,
tools.
like you kind of, you have so much, only so much time to play with those. So even as a
Right.
manager, I try to be, flex my coding muscles and I try to follow everything. But it's one thing to follow and one thing to actually implement or play with the tools, right? So it was a big thing for me, and I was actually quite terrified. But then, you know, as I go, I'm learning, and I realized it's actually kind of like what we had at Meta, and it's just this or that, or okay, this is kind of this thing I used to do in the past, but on steroids. So there is still thing you need to learn. There is
Yep.
it's like a lot of new names, a lot of new paradigms, but there is also a lot of the same stuff. I don't think that's like I can't operate. There are times where I need to do like DBT. DBT was not there, right? And I was like, okay, let me look at DBT, and I'm like, okay, it's just this, it's easy. They actually made it super cool. So now 2 days and I could do DBT, right? So it's not that big of a problem if you work on all the past technologies and if your coding skills are still sharp. So yeah, a lot of new things, a lot of new names, but still the same concepts, still the same things. Some things evolve, but yeah, you can survive that.
Follow up question on this topic. So,
Yeah.
do you think is it going to be hard for freshers who will directly be working on the new tools instead of the old ones? I mean,
So there are always new tools and there are always old tools. Like when I was, it's just the names are different, right? When I joined, the old tools were different and the new tools were different. Now it's the same situation, right? So I don't think it will be harder for new people to pick up new tools than it was 10 years ago than now. It's always the same thing, right? They're gonna be legacy software or older software, and they're gonna be new shiny tools. Some of them will die
mhm.
quickly,
Right,
others
right.
will become like an industry standard, and the cycle will repeat. So I don't think you are in worse situation than we were there. And
So
yeah,
yeah, so I guess what matters is if our basics are clear. Like in most of the engineering tools, you are going to use SQL, right? So if our basics are
yeah,
clear, it should be easier for anyone to just take some time and start with that, right?
yeah. I would say SQL. Like, if you think the data engineering SQL is for me it's must have, and for me it's also like if you want to do data engineering or analytics in general, and you don't want to learn SQL or you find it not so useful. I don't know what the heck are you doing, Nana. Just
Right,
learn
right,
freaking SQL. It's not hard. Like, come on, select star from where group by having. That's it. It's,
right.
it's, it's that simple. Like window functions. Yeah, okay. Like spend week with the basic clauses and then maybe you do window functions. It's not hard. So just get your SQL out there and don't find excuses. Uh,
Yeah,
but there are more things than just SQL. Like fundamentally, like when we talk about the foundations, like when you think about this, like 10 years ago or nowadays or in 10 years from now, you still want to move data from point A to point B, and you want to make data usable, and may want to prepare the data so that others can use it. This will stay the same,
right.
right? And yeah, the tools will change. You will do it slightly differently, but the end goal will be exactly the same. Like move the data, make it useful. Like yeah, things will change. AI will disrupt here and there, but fundamentally, that's gonna be the same task.
Right, right. Yeah, I guess that thing what you told earlier, that make the data, make it usable. At the end, that's what we are doing. So I learned it in my first job. Right. So even it doesn't matter how good you are with the tools and technologies, and when you talk to a stakeholder or anyone you are reporting to or you are working for someone,
Yeah,
and when you come up with, okay, I have built something cool, but then they are like, okay, this is cool, but what is it actually telling me? So one
yeah,
of my so in my recent job, so I had to present uh, a dashboard exactly, uh, my manager did not actually told me proper requirements, so I thought, okay, I can just make it. Okay. So I made a very cool dashboard. I went to the CBO directly. I started talking. Uh, he listened carefully, and after that, okay, Sudhanshu, this is cool, but what is it telling? Is it solving my problem as a CBO? And I was at that time, I was just so. And then he told me that you are new. Let me give you a piece of advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whatever shit you have made, whatever,
Yeah.
however that beautiful it is. Okay, it only matters if you are trying to solve my questions, or if you are trying to exactly
Yeah.
help me 1% to make my decisions. So how I can make my decisions as a CBO. That's it. I don't want anything
That's
else.
it, right? Of course. Yeah. So
Right,
that was really good advice, right?
right,
And this is a common like there is a thing about that, but let's do a thought experiment. Like,
right,
let's say your laundry machine is broken. You don't know anything about laundry machines,
right,
and the dude comes to your place and he fixes laundry machine, and you want them to fix your freaking laundry machine, and they start to talk about the internal of the laundry machine, like, hey, this has this new processor, now your spinning wheel is faster and is doing this. Like, honestly, could you care less about that, right? Like,
no,
you just want, like, ideally you just want to leave him and, do your important job and get back, and your laundry machine works, and you don't want to hear if, like, maybe if the replacement parts were expensive, maybe you want to ask what was that, but you probably won't even understand that, because that's their job, to fix your freaking laundry machine.
right,
And that's exactly the same when it comes to analytics and when it comes to software engineering or whatever. We are experts. We know
right,
things. We talk data, pipelines, dashboards, widgets, whatever. But the people who you work for, they don't care. They are paying you to do that, right?
right,
So one thing is the CBO. The advice was really good, and you really need to know who you talk to. I
right,
would talk differently if I talk to data engineers. I can talk differently here with you, but if I talk to CBO, VP, whatever executive, that's gonna be completely different language. They like
Right.
the language I'm using will be different. Also, you need to think about incentives, right?
right,
Like, your incentives as an expert are certain, but if you talk to the business stakeholders, especially those senior people, like, they just want to make the business work, and if you can solve their problems, that's perfect. But if you show them the dashboard, which is pretty cool and tells them nothing,
right, right,
that you kind of wasted their time. Like,
right,
it's brutal, right?
right.
But that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
uh, Coincidentally, something similar happened today with me. So we had a demo today. It's Friday, and we designed our whole data ingestion pipelines, and there were some data that we need to ingest.
Yeah.
We explained all our approach, how we handle the process, how we handle the blob, and everything. The final questions that we got was how many files are ingested. That's it.
Yeah.
So at the end, I think that's what matters, right?
Yeah, yeah. I there's plenty of those stories. Like, everyone had those, and you need to learn the hard way, because you go to the industry. It's like just learning those tools and the basics. It's a lot. Like, your entire energy and your learning and focus is there in those tools, in those concepts, right? So you want to make it right, and then you want to tell about that to other people. And yeah, the problem is they may not care, and then you learn the hard way. I've been there as well, right? I remember there was this story. I think I once wrote about that on LinkedIn, but I had, like, super complex pipeline. Like, to this day, that was probably the most complex pipeline, because it was involving location data of people, which was extremely privacy sensitive, and it was also about matching. That was GPS data, and we were within the SQL itself. We were kind of matching the closest place to those GPS coordinates. So when you think about this, it's not like a SQL problem. It's you have certain places, and you need to find out given this path of someone, and you have GPS coordinates XY, like to which place that person was closest. Like that's very, very not SQL like, and you had to do everything in memory for like huge data set, and you couldn't save anything because that was location data. So I spent now easily a month on just this task, and I wrote like a essay on that. Like I was so proud of that work. Like no one gave a think about that. And the next, I was quite like I'm so proud of it. That was so hard, and like no one cares. And then the next day, I fixed a button on a dashboard, and like people are, yeah, Slav, you're the best. Yeah, that's perfect. I was waiting, and I was like, are you joking? It's just like freaking button. It took me 30 seconds, and senior software engineer manager is patting me on the back and saying how cool I am. I like, that's not cool. That's a freaking button. But I solved their problems. They had problem with the dashboard. They couldn't work. The stupid button had to be changed. And all the other thing, I just didn't match the audience to the problem. I could frame the problem differently. I could show how this solves the problem, because it was solving the problem. But instead, I was just rambling about how complex it was, how I solved this, how I solved that. Like, who cares? Tell us what it's solving.
Right.
And the button was solving the problem, right? So it won.
Regarding this, I have a question. So, Zanshu, maybe the next question that you're going to present. So,
Yeah.
In the last, let's say, whenever you started, tell us about your first data stack that you worked on, and the situation, or maybe the time when you actually started data engineering. Like, which technology was your first data stack when you actually started work?
So my first real, let's call it data platform. The technology was legacy data warehouse. So we moved there, and I started working on this startup. That was my first official data engineering titles. Before that, I was like the software engineer or whatever. And that was the first data engineer. And they had legacy data warehouse. Like it's common for many companies still today. They have legacy systems. That was a fintech company, so financial sector is really prone to that, because there is a lot of legal and compliance stuff, so they are not just changing their stack all over the time, right? So that was Postgres, on-prem Postgres database, normal relational database management system, Postgres. It was not in the cloud. It was technically, right. It was the single node machine in the cloud.
Yep.
The entire machine was maintained still by us, and it was terrible. It was crazy how terrible it was. So the ETL itself, I think, was taking, when I joined, 13 hours, 14 hours, and it was breaking more than it was finishing. So it would break, three times a week. So you would not have a data for more than for more than a half of the week, because it was doing crazy things. So it was a special system. And the ETL itself, that was like a in-house developed solution. So the company paid for consultants. They implemented some weird things out there on the top, and that was a like entire custom code for them. And we had to deal with this crap. That was the first data stack. I would not call it real data stack, but we had to survive that. And then we started migration. And back in the days when we were migrating, I think we migrated to Redshift. We started using Airflow, Redshift, those, and then for the dashboarding we had Tableau. That was it. That was as simple as that.
So did you
Regarding just a follow, but do you think that the migration is going to stop anywhere? Because every time I read this, like a company is migrating from one solution to another, and then they got better solution, then again whole database is shifted to another.
Yeah,
cloud.
That's how it works, right? So new VP comes, new head of data comes, right? They migrate. After some years, the new one will come and you will migrate. Jokes aside, now migrations won't stop, right? And the thing about
Yeah.
is like those, like the I assuming the good migrations. I'm not talking about BS migrations because there are always BS migrations as well, right? But
Right.
the real migrations are there as well, and they are because of the evolving ecosystem, evolving challenges. Like the world is moving on. We can do more things. We have more data, new tools that allow us to do certain things comes in. So the landscape is changing, and sometimes the changes are so big that the past stack, needs to have certain bits and parts replaced. So the migrations will be there always. But there is definitely a thing that there are some stupid migrations that's like, unfortunately, like tech industry as any other industry sometimes fall into the trap of just following and herding, and suddenly
Right.
everyone are migrating. uh, there are stupid migrations. Like, I can tell you one thing, one story, not one thing. The guys were migrating because their clusters couldn't scale dynamically. So the story was this: they had batch processing. Every midnight, they will schedule all the ETLs and all the reports. And there was so much of things out there that the cluster will crash. So they
Right.
and the platform they were using, it was not allowing them. It was not elastic. It was not dynamic. So when they had the clusters, and if the load is too much, it would crash. So they would have to, for the midnight, they would have to, increase the cluster sizes and spin everything. So the processing power is
Right.
bigger, but then they had to shrink it because they didn't want to lose so much money, because after like 4 hours or whatever, they don't need that much capacity anymore. So they would kind of manually, scale up and down this cluster, and they were like saying, like, we are migrating because we have this problem, right? And my question to them was that, like, dude, why you don't distribute the load, right? And they were like, we need those reports in the morning. And I said, like, do you need all the reports in the morning? I don't know. We have thousands of those, and those are legacy. We are afraid to touch it. So the situation was this: the reports, dashboards, and all of this grew like hell. So the platform can't scale it. But instead of looking into that thing, they said, like, okay, we have this big pile of something. We don't know what's that. Let's just move it elsewhere. For me, that's not so smart migration, right?
Right,
Because
right,
they would spend money and they would spend resources on shifting. They don't even know what, right?
right,
So there are bad migrations, there are good migrations, but the migrations will be always there. They were migrating, 20 years ago, like what? When I was starting, there were still migration. 10 years ago, when I started, there were still migration to the clouds, from on-premise to clouds. Nowadays, they migrate to Snowflake or whatever. 10 years from now, they're going to be migrating to something else that's going to be there.
I guess that's our job. If the migration stops, then data engineering jobs will decline or will start declining.
I think we'll still have job. I think we'll still have job. Well, maybe less, maybe less. Maybe contractors will suffer a little bit, because
Right,
effectively how this happens is this: there is data engineering team, and they are saying, like, hey,
Yeah.
there's gonna be this new platform. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be shiny. They are full of energy. They start migration. They will migrate, I don't know, 70%, and then they will get stuck. And it's gonna be it's always harder. Migrations are known to be harder than they seems. And the business requires new things as well. Like, you can't keep
right,
telling the business, like, you're gonna get a new shiny platform, and they will ask you, what are you doing this entire year? And you're saying, I'm moving those old things to those new things. And they are saying, like, okay, but the same questions with answer as you had with the dashboard, but what problem is solving?
right, right,
And if you don't have any new problems you're solving, from their perspective, for the end, let's say it was 1 year, you didn't deliver any net incremental capabilities for the 1 year. So you haven't solved new problems.
right,
That's bad. You are in bad position. So what they will do, the data team will start doing, they will stop focusing that much on migrating. They will start doing new things. and the company will be in this kind of state where you have legacy platform, where you have a new platform, something is there, you don't have time to migrate, you need to ship new things, and you still have like a lot of problems because you have the old platforms. What they're gonna do? They're gonna hire contractors. They will say, hey, contractors, we have the 1,000 dashboards, we don't even know what's that, but we need to move it to the new place. They're gonna throw money at the problem, and that's how they will migrate. That's kind of reality.
Right, right, right. That's the whole
what
circle.
is
Yeah, that's a
yeah
cycle.
uh, uh, weird question. What does actionable data does? I mean,
What's actionable data does? That's exactly what Sudhanshu was talking about. That gives you that solves the problem. That you can act on this and it solves the problem. That's for me what actionable data is. Like any let's say you deliver beautiful data set. It's the same situation as with dashboard. Unless it's solving real problems, unless you can act on the top of this, that's not actionable data. And this is problem for data engineering, but this is also a problem for data science, or analytics. Let's think about the analytics. Let's say I want the analysis, right? And I'm telling
right,
you, like, I need to understand, I need to understand the best market I want to go. I want to scale my product. I want to go to the new country. I don't know. It should be United States, China, whatever. Like, and I'm saying my analysts do the work for me. And you give me analysis with 50 insights, but no recommendation. No, none of those insights helps me to make my decision.
Right.
That's not actionable, right? And if at the end of your analysis you're telling me, well, it's not clear. Maybe we need to do more research there. Maybe we need to do more research there. I think that your customer maybe looks like this, maybe looks like that. But if I ask you, like, okay, so is it United States or is it Brazil? And you tell me, no, I don't know, and we can't tell you that, then that's
Yeah,
not actionable, right? That's
right.
not actionable. So that's how I see it, and that's where the focus should be. And each of our kind of data engineers or analysts or data science, they have to remember about that, and they may fall into the trap of doing dashboards for nothing, doing analysis which just explores but don't explain or don't recommend, or doing fancy stuff which don't solve the real problems, right?
Right.
That's how I see actionable data.
do you have a team or you are an individual working?
No, I don't have a team, and I don't want to have a team. And I mean, I used to have a great team at Meta. I still miss them. Like, that was the best team. I'm really proud of the work we did there. But I'm now independent data consultant. I work solo, and there is it's when you think about that, it's like a business model, right? Because the
Right,
moment I start to hire people, let's say I work solo and I want to make more money. What you gonna do? Let's
right,
say you want to take more deals, more clients, but you only have
right,
so much time as a solo person. So you can
Right.
say, okay, I'm gonna hire people. I'm gonna have a subcontractors which will do work for me, and you can do
right,
it. But surprise, surprise, you're not a consultant anymore. You're a manager, and you run a consultancy agency. You're managing subcontractors. You are now in the position that you need to find more deals because there's more mouth to be fed.
Right.
So you are shifting from being data consultant to being
yep,
owner of the agency, being a manager, finding clients. That's a different business model. I don't want to do that. I want to stay independent consultant. I want to have my client base. I want to do the hands-on work as well. And so that's by design. I don't want to have a team of people. Um, and you know, I'm testing things out, but I think that's the model I want to work with. And
What is the complex part of streaming data ingestion? So if you have worked in Meta, so what was the most
yeah,
complex type of part when you were like injecting the data?
I'm not the biggest fan of real-time streaming, and I think that many times we could do with batch. Streaming is great, for the real time, of course. Streaming is great for me for CDC kind of work, that's for sure. Like CDC is the change data capture, so you want
Change
to
data capture.
just change the changes. So I love this, but the streaming adds a complexity because you need to handle this. When you think about the batch is like super simple. You have static data, you have static job that runs at static intervals. If something is needed, you can replay this, you can drop something, you can replace something. Uh, in streaming, you have to handle the first of all the entire infrastructure for the streaming, like Kafka clusters, Kafka this. And the second thing, you need to ingest those messages. You need to make sure that you process them correctly, that you're not losing data. Replayability can be a thing. Kafka topics, they will have their retention. So there's more things to handle.
Right.
So for me, streaming is great. Just use streaming for the where it needs to be used. And if you can do batch, maybe you should do batch, right? If you do stream, like there's this well-known joke across, data industry, that the business asks for real-time data for their quarterly dashboards, right? So if you put all those infrastructure there, and if you have to, now handle the more complex streaming applications, make sure you're using it when, and make sure you really need that. I think
Okay.
nowadays most of the modern data stack, they will do CD change data capture with streaming.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, definitely it's something we need to be familiar with as data engineers. But I would say that for the classic data ETL and the warehouses and reporting, batch is still the thing, or mini batch. Like batch, it's not necessarily 12 hours or 24 hours. Like you could do batch every 15 minutes.
Right. Right.
And and it's still gonna be simpler than processing things real time.
Yeah.
Have you observed any pattern in the companies that you have worked with? Like, do they prefer batch ingestion more over streaming?
Do they prefer, like they're always like they will have both, or they will have batch. I haven't seen the company which would just have, only have
Streaming. Yeah.
streaming when it comes to the data platform. uh, I would say that if people build their stack from scratch nowadays, they will have streaming
Okay.
somewhere out there. But if there is like a, bigger corporation with a legacy stack, they will probably do the batch thing. And if they have classic data warehouse, that's gonna be a batch thing as well.
Right. Yeah. I guess we got our answer for this. Okay. Okay. So that's kind of a trending question. I won't say that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, everyone is talking about this, and I'm not sure. Like, I have to once in a while, I have to go to the settings and change that I'm not interested to the post related to AI. Yesterday,
yeah.
I read one post that data science is dead.
Oh
So
yeah, of course. Everything is dead.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like everything is just leaving a graveyard. Like I can't stand this thing is dead plus. Yeah,
right. So in one way, we can say, okay, this is just like the to get more views or to get like
of
contract
course. Yeah,
views on that. But yeah, it's just written that data science is dead or data engineering gonna be dead in 2 years. Or
yeah,
like, I'm not actually understanding like how people can be so sure about this. So
yeah.
about this question, like uh everyone is using AI tools. Okay, so
Of course.
which
Yeah.
one you like most or which one you use? And also, like, would you prefer to use AI tools on most of your work, most of your coding, or not, or like just you prefer
Uh,
that I should write my code or what?
so nowadays I don't write that much code.
Right.
It's a funny thing, but remember, like the as a manager, I didn't write that much code, and nowadays when I work with clients, still majority of work is non-code work. It's trying to understand the situation. It's a technical assessment. The deals I'm getting and the work I'm doing is more on this kind of let's call it assessment, organizational setup, and this kind of thing. So I don't do and I don't take and I don't want to take the deals where you would say like, hey, we need to do a migration, you're paid by hour, and like go there and migrate those.
Right.
If I can use those tools, I will use them, and they can help me, right? But if you use them, you know they are far away from being perfect, and they are great for demo, right? Like many times I think there is like this state where you're seeing those tools, you see all those demos, and you're like,
Right.
damn, that's mind blowing, and then you start using them, and you're quickly like, this is game changer, this is mind blowing. But then when you want to start using them on the professional setup, on the production, whatever, you're like, okay, this kind of sucks, this is not perfect. Okay. So it's not like ITEL it's doing the work. It's actually ITEL is doing the thing, and then I check it, I debug it, and then this or AI code.
Right. So
We'll see.
yeah.
Am I audible?
What are your suggestions if someone is new in this field, like just starting is their data profession, and what are your suggestions regarding to AI tools? How much they should rely on, or how much they should not?
My suggestion would be this: you can't ignore the topic, right? And by the way, I know I think that I personally should be using more of those, and I still have in my backlog to some to-dos to become like a pro user, because I think ignoring those tools will be mistake. We may have jokes that it's just prompt, but I know people who write prompts like me and get certain results, and I have some friends which like prompts like a pros, and they will ingest context. They will have bunch of configured agents with different personalities, and they will do the prompts just like me, and they will get 10 times better results. So don't ignore the tools, learn the tools, not only simple chat interface, but also the API interface, different models, how you can build the agents and all of that. I would do that. So definitely don't ignore AI tools. But what I would definitely discourage you is I think I've heard this term, which I love, which was doom prompting. Like if what you do, doom prompting. Have you heard that?
No.
Like doom prompting I
I
love this term. Like I hate vibe coding. I think it's a terrible name. I think we should just change it. It's ridiculous. It's philosophically and fundamentally wrong. But the doom prompting is amazing, and it's this state where you want to do something. You want let's say you want to do a Python function, and you write a prompt, and it gives you the function, and it doesn't work. So you copy paste the error message, and it splits the output, and you pretty much go back and forth for 1 hour, and your function is still shit. And you don't know what you're doing. You're like just copy pasting to the prompt, and hey, please fix it. Really, really, please fix it. Right? That's a doom prompting. And if you're doing doom prompting, that's ridiculous. Like you're not only wasting your time, you are acting like a useless rapper who will be replaced very soon. Like I'm not buying the stories that data engineers will be replaced. I'm not buying the story that software engineers will be replaced. But people who do doom prompting, they will be replaced, right? So don't do doom prompting. Like use those tools, but be able to survive without them. That's one thing. And to use them mindfully. Like if the code is there, check this code. Like if you do AI coding and it gave you this function, do you understand what's written there? Like, do you know how it works? And many times you need to question it. Like there's one pattern which was really annoying for me when I work with any let's call it when I'm doing AI coding. I'm asking for something, and it will output me within the Python this try except clauses, and it will catch the errors, and it will return the nulls or nonce. It's Python, right? So nonce. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'm building like I'm processing the data. Let's say I'm reading from the CSV and I'm processing the data. Like the AI code will and like I check ChatGPT, Copilot, and a bunch of other models, and they are very stubborn on this try except pattern. It's wrong pattern for the data processing. You're just silently hiding the bugs. Like you will run your thing, it will process million rows. You will have 10,000 records. What happens with the 90,000? What I'm missing?
Right.
There data quality issues, there this, and it just catches the errors with the accept and throw nuns and or it continues. Like if you're doing doom prompting, like it will work, it will give you something, but it's just purely wrong. So you can't just do it mindless vibe coding, and you shouldn't be doing. And if you're doing this, you're wrong. But don't ignore those tools as well. Like they are there with us to stay. I don't think we will.
Right. I guess I have also seen that pattern whenever I'm like trying to get a Python code for that, and I try and accept. I have also seen like 2 3 posts 2 3 days ago in the same topic. So yeah, another annoying thing I got is whenever you write something or you need suggestions because you don't wanna suppose that you just have a doubt, a small doubt in your mind, and you don't wanna go through blogs or articles on that. You just ask any tool, and it will most of the time it will be like, yeah, you are correct. No, I'm not
Yeah,
correct.
of course.
I'm
Yeah,
not correct.
yeah. So that's the problem, right? And I think that if you're new to the field, you are in danger position because you don't really know if the output is correct and if it's not correct.
Right.
Like sometimes it's obvious, right? I made this experiment and I asked a bunch of models this question. Hey, I'm starting the business. I want to lend money to homeless people without any security. I want to give them a lot of money, and they will start business and they will be entrepreneurs, and then they will pay me back and with extra profit. Like, can you tell me how great idea is this? Right? It was saying that I think one of the models rated it. I think the ChatGPT rated it as 5 out of 10 stars. No, it's 1 out of 10 stars. It was a ridiculous example, but even there, it was not trashing my idea. It should trash the idea, and I even
Right.
explicitly said like, be critical, be very critical. The first thing it said is that I'm a great person because I'm wholehearted and I care about the others and the social, like even ask, it's not doing this. So it's definitely too nice to you. It's I once heard this sentence that it's like a puppy. It really wants you to like it, and it will do whatever to make you happy, right? But if you are new to the field, you really don't know if it's telling you wrong things or if it's actually pretty great advice, right? So if you're an expert and you're asking AI about those things, you will know that. You will see,
Right.
oh wow, holy Mary, that's an amazing advice. That's perfect. Like I can't add anything on the top of this. Or you will tell, okay, that's BS, right? But what
Right.
you do if you are not there, right? So
Right.
that's a big problem. I think for the new people, the danger is that you don't know that, and you actually have to acquire that skill. And it's not always so easy to do with those models from the exactly those reasons. If I want to learn a new thing, I would probably ask the model to to prepare a learning plan for me. But I would not learn this thing entirely from the model itself. I would still go to books. I would still go to practice. I would still try to get experience.
It becomes worrying when suppose that like you asked for like that example of business. Suppose that someone who's not from engineering background, okay, he's just a simple
Yeah.
man, and someone or their relatives or their kids told them that hey, this is a great tool, you should use it, and they don't know anything. They
Hmm?
just ask, they start believing, okay, that's very good, and they just ask the same question that this my idea is good or bad, and you say just, no, no, this idea is so great.
Huh?
You are actually tries to believe that and then tries to take action on that, then that's
There are stories like this. Yeah, I mean, it's not a joke. Like,
similar to the trend we are having. So
Yeah.
AI from 2020 we are hearing AI, and from 2025 start of the 2025, everyone was like, "This is the year of AI agents. There is nothing else remaining. This is the year. This is the year of AI agents." So in the beginning
of
of
course.
2-3 months, I was like seeing all the ridiculous posts and people just talking about AI agents, AI agents. So, what are your views on this AI agent race dilemma, whatever
Uh,
you wanna call it?
I think I have mixed feelings. I'm changing. So when the AI engines, as you said, like when we suddenly wake up and LinkedIn and all of them, everyone were just pitching AI agents. I was quite skeptic, and I was seeing a lot of use cases, which for me was just rebranding. Like I remember reading this. I don't remember which report was it, but one of the reports from like a big leading companies, advising corporations, and they were like, here the usage of our AI agents, and this agent is recommending you, it's recommending you something. Right? I don't remember what it's recommending, but that was recommending engine. That was something which was always there, like Spotify is doing recommendation for X years. Netflix was doing the recommendations. Like you can
Right.
call it agent, right? So, so like people are misusing this. There was another post on LinkedIn. I don't remember. I don't remember who wrote this. So sorry for not crediting you, but they wrote this that you know my scheduling agent just posted my LinkedIn post, like, and they were just mocking the schedule feature on LinkedIn, that you can schedule a post, right? So you could say this is a schedule feature, but you can also do some ridiculous overusing the word, and you can say that was an agent, right? So what is the agent? And I think at the beginning I was really annoyed that people were calling agents everything suddenly become agents, and for me that was great technologies which were already there, and they are still with us, right? But over time I started to change a little bit of my mind. I think like in this sea of agents which are not really agents, there is actually there are real agents, and you could. I remember hearing about this use case where the person had multiple personalities, and those were the AI agents, and all of them had different contexts. So they were like a power user of AI, and they would fetch different contexts to those different agents, and they will do the bunch of rules, and they will configure the specific agents to be different personalities, and they will use them as, for example, a customer personality, writer personality, right? And they would like have this army of agents with different tasks and with different specialities, and when he would be using those agents when he needs to do that thing, and they were specialized to do those things. And then I was like, oh, actually that's pretty cool when you think about those agents as smart AIs which are specialized in doing one thing, and they are really good at that thing. They are not this generic LLM model which do everything and nothing, but they have context. They are specialized. That's I started to understand why people get a little bit more excited about that. So I think if we forgot about those ridiculous claims about everything is an agent,
Right.
I think it's quite interesting pattern, right? And if you have those units which do something better, which are configured to perform specific tasks, and they are doing it better, that's a smart move. I think that can work. And like one of the things I want to do is actually to mimic what that guy I told you about did, with having those bunch of those, let's call them agents, with different which can perform different tasks, because I do need them, right? I will tell you one example, right? I write a lot of stuff on the LinkedIn, right? I could help. Like one thing which I'm really annoyed when I'm using. I don't use LLMs to generate, but I use it to change the grammar, to check the grammar and check the spelling, right? And I have this prompt which I have to copy paste all the freaking time to force LLM not to change my post. Because I wrote this post, this is me, this is my post. I want it to be me, and it's just changing it to this generic thing, with those emojis, with those dashes, and it really annoys me. I just wanted it to check the grammar, right? So I have like a long prompt which is like, change it, keep it close to the original, don't change too much, don't use the dashes. Don't use the dashes anyway.
Totally can relate with that.
Exactly, but what you could do this if I have this configured, like, hey guy, hey LLM, whatever, ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever. This is the content I wrote, right? I want you to do and configure those rules, so that I can say, hey, like, check my post, check the spelling, and don't go far away. You know my style. Now I fetch all my posts. You know my style. Don't change it too much. Keep within it. That could be useful. And that would actually be more performant, because I don't have this strange prompt which still doesn't work the way I would like to. So that's one thing. You could do also I could create like a persona, let's say a grumpy LinkedIn user or happy LinkedIn user, and I could ask, hey, can you tell me what do you think about this post from that perspective, right? So you could fetch a bunch of the comments and responses I get from LinkedIn, and I could get the feedback. So I see the usage like that, and if I just use the ChatGPT or whatever, kind of like a newbie, the interface, like I can't do it. So I think I could do it better. I just need to find time to actually play with it and to learn it, to use the rules and the context better, and kind of to see how I can embed it in my flow.
So you see, what cloud technologies do people actually use in data engineering, and how much a data engineer with different years of experience should know? For example, someone who is just entering the field, someone with more than 2 years of experience, maybe 2 to 3, and someone of your level of experience, maybe more than 5 or 10 years. What level of technical cloud aspect of data engineering one should know or be aware about?
So I will disappoint you a little bit. So first of all, what people are using everything, it really depends from the company. Like all the names, like we see here, Azure, Terraform, Snowflake, Redshift, Google Cloud, Microsoft Cloud, everyone uses everything. Like all those companies are getting millions of dollars. So if you try to hit them all, you will fail, because there's just too much of them, and they keep popping out. Now, the way I see it is this. The progression goes a little bit like that. When you start afresh, you definitely need to know something to start, right? So if this is data engineering, you need to know SQL, you need to know Python, most probably.
Right.
You need to know all the basic concept, like what is ETL, what is data warehouse, things like that. So you need to have the basics out there, so you can go somewhere and work somewhere. And then my opinion is this, that the first real stack you learn, it's going to be the stack you have in your first company, right? You can't know entire Microsoft stack and entire AWS stack before you start to work. There are people who are specialized at AWS. They do all those certifications. They learn it. Like, there is a lot out there. You could just build a business just being AWS consultant, specializing those technologies, and going to the companies which has problems with those technologies.
Right.
There's too much out there. So what I would say is this: start with a good basics. SQL, Python, data modeling, data warehousing, all the concepts like pipelines. Know definitely at least one tool, which is the most common right now for you. So for example, if nowadays Airflow is still the most widely orchestration, learn Airflow. You don't need to learn Daxter. Like, forget about Daxter, learn Airflow.
Mhm.
So you should go with for the ingestion, for transformation, dashboarding, like pick up one which is the most popular. And if you cannot make up because they're like two super popular, I don't know, just pick one and do that. That's a starter. That's what you need, right? You need to have something to get a job.
Right.
Now, when you have a job, the tech stack you have there is gonna be where you start to get a little bit deeper. Let's say you have a Snowflake. So now you should learn Snowflake better. You should learn how it works. You will have real life experience, so your learning is 10 times faster. It's like one thing is to do the tutorials and do the reading, but the other thing is to see real production data flowing through real production system, right? Snowflakes, Databricks, whatever. Pick the thing. So
Right.
so as a fresher, pick something, have a basics, go to company. You are in the company, focus on what's there in your company, right?
Okay.
That's gonna be the thing. So someone with 2 years old, 2 years of experience, you should probably be more and more of the expert in the technologies your company is using, right? And you should already start getting opinions on things. So, for example, let's say that your company is using Avro as a data format for your data lake. And you're like, guys, actually Parquet will be better because like I did this research. I know Avro well now, and I did this research with Parquet, and like I don't know, it will give us a better compression or whatever. And maybe we should be doing this, right? So you start expanding your knowledge.
Right.
And you expand your knowledge. Now, when it comes to the 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience, the way it changes a little bit from the tools to the problem solving, because it's not like the more year of experience, you just have the more tools on your CV. You kind of naturally have, because you will, after 2 years, you will switch a company. You will go to the other company that will have different stack, and you will have to learn that stack. So yes, naturally you will be exposed to more frameworks, to more technologies, because the more senior you are, the more important skills are actually soft skills, and actually the more important is if you can critically think and solve business questions, right? And you are pretty quickly able to pick up the new technology because you know what the technology is doing, but you don't need to know all the nitty gritty of those technologies. So I think that with 5 years of experience and more, your focus shouldn't be on this tool or that tool. Like you will learn them, you will know them. It's much easier to learn them when you are experienced. That kind of goes back to the beginning of our discussion. If you have 10 years of experience with different technologies, it's going to be much simpler for you to learn this technology or that technology. Like, so learning the tech is not a problem for you. But you
Yeah.
need to know the business context. You need to be useful. You need to get the things done. Architectural skills, organizational skills, like all of this becomes more important than this or that technology.
Yeah. Okay. So my question is related to something similar. Let's say I right now I have worked with a batch ingestion so far. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I want to start with streaming data ingestion. What should
Yeah,
be the starting point at this moment? And let's say I have zero knowledge. I've heard about the tools Confluent, Kafka,
yeah,
but I've
yeah,
not yet have hands on over them. So how what should be the starting point for me for
yeah. So
streaming?
do you have streaming in your company? Like currently, do you do
Not
streaming?
yet. Not
Is
yet.
not yet. So
Yeah.
I would say you're in the disadvantage position, and what you should be doing, you should go take. I think we have some noise again, right? So let's try to. Oh, yeah, that's gonna be better. So first of all, you should, if you don't have that technology you want to learn in your company, what you can do is, tutorials, books, and side projects. That's the only thing you can do. So for the streaming, set up a Kafka cluster, have a producer, have a consumer, start, on the producer side, get some API data from some start fetching data from some free API, start sending it to the Kafka topic, and then build a consumer which reads from the Kafka topic and process. Those are the kind of one-on-one data projects you can do, and that can help you to get started, right? If you have a Kafka streaming actually in your company, that would be great, because then you could actually try to get yourself involved. You could do two things at the same time, like learning the basics of the tool and doing the side projects and getting the hands dirty with the tool itself. But then trying to get actively involved in this project, like go to your manager, say, hey, I really want to learn Kafka. They are doing Kafka. I want to spend 10% or 20% of my time. Or if you're really, really, passionate about it, you can say, hey, I will take it as an extra hour, extra day. I will do Kafka stuff. Let me do it. And then you will learn it like 10 times better. Right? So that would be it, because there's only so much you can go with the side projects, right? You're not gonna maintain production grade Kafka cluster with hundreds of instances, with multiple, where the zookeeper or whatever orchestrates everything, and you support like, oh, this instance is dead, but there's replication, this or that. With your side project, it's gonna be, one instance, which is producer and consumer at the same time. That has its limitations. You can only go so far learning this. In the real life, you will also see all the dirty stuff as well, because you will realize that, Kafka is being used like this. You have this great schema registry, and then suddenly you realize people are not using schema registry or whatever. So I think that the real life experience is always the best learning. So if you're passionate about the streaming, and that's you kind of feel like the streaming is the way, that's the current direction I want to go, start learning basics, and over time switch the company which gives you this opportunity.
Regarding the market, I am not sure if you have heard the news recently. Oracle had this major layoff a few days back. Have you heard about it?
There were so many layoffs that I stopped tracking them. Like I don't think, maybe Apple is the only company who haven't made a layoff. Like all the other guys just laid off.
I think I was reading this Reddit thread a few hours back, and there were thousands of employees who were invited to a call, and then after 5 minutes, HR jumps into it, and then suddenly everyone's access is revoked, and that's how they got suddenly laid off from the company.
It sucks completely. Sounds not nice.
What do you think of this current job market regarding data engineering or analytics, maybe?
So I'm it's bad. That's for sure. That's the quick answer is bad. And when I look at the so we started this discussion with my story about how I moved, right? I would not
Right.
be able to move that easily right now. That's for sure. Like if you're just moving to the industry, you are in terrible position. There's no junior position. It's really hard to move in. Like there are super smart folks being laid off from every single company, like Meta, Google, Microsoft, whatever. Like there are people who are looking for a job from those companies out there, and companies are getting picky and ridiculous. So the job market right now is terrible. The wages are kind of stacked or even in some cases go down. So it's bad. That's for sure. Now, how bad it is, it really depends, right? So you still can find a job. There are still people, succeeding in finding an offer, getting an offer. So it's not impossible, but it's definitely a little bit harder for everyone and really terrible for new people. But when you think about this, that had to happen at some point for the junior folks. Because I remember when I was starting more than 10 years ago, it was already in years of kind of IT Eldorado where everyone were just saying, go to IT, just just switch to IT. They will like no
Right.
degree, no this, no that, right? And there was this expectation that like they need people to do coding so much that they will take a homeless person, and that homeless person will make $1 million in Silicon Valley really soon. And soon after that, there were more and more boot camps, more and more mentorships program. Universities starts to pour a lot of new grads there. So the whole machine, which was lagging, started to get the traction. And now the market suddenly crashed, right? But the big machine of producing all those folks, it's still there and it's not slowing down. It's gonna be slower. So we have all those folks who wants to join and they have problems, and that's the worst situation is for them. I think if you get a job, if you are on the market for more than for some time, you're in better shape. You still can get a job, but I would not do risky moves, right? So I quit Meta without having a job. I started a business right ahead. But if I'm not planning to start a business, and if I have to quit Meta and go back to the market, I would be looking for a secure position before I switch. There is no way, even with Meta in my portfolio, in the current market, it's ridiculous to do this kind of move.
Right.
Yeah,
So that's my but it's bad, that's for sure. It's not so rosy, and the junior people situation.
you're data engineering manager at Meta, right?
I
think
used to be for years, yes, 4.5 years, managing manager. Yeah.
did have you ever hired someone? I get interviewed someone after looking at their LinkedIn profile.
No, I would not. So first of all, like the hiring process is completely different based on the company. So when I
Right.
was in the startups, I would be looking at CV. When I was in startups before Meta, if the recruiter was sourcing CVs,
Right.
so recruiter would be the person who looks at your LinkedIn profile, for example, and they will hand us the CVs, and they will say, "Hey guys, hey data team, those are 20 CVs and profiles of people who you want to invite for the interview." And then you would look at LinkedIn, then you would look at GitHub, whatever, small startup kind of thing, and we
Right.
would really, really look at the people, because every single addition to the team is a major change in the culture.
Correct.
But when it comes to Meta and me as a data engineering manager who was interviewing hundreds of candidates there, like I don't remember, I think I ended up at 400 or 300, I lost count, hundreds of interviews there. I would not source people. I would not I would be plugged into the hiring pipeline. I would share like, hey guys, this is my schedule. I can do interviews at those times, and the randomly assigned people will get to me. And the only check would be if I don't have any association with that person. So if, for example, they know that I used to work with that person, they would not assign it to me. If I get, for example, a person and I know this person and they don't know I know this person, my responsibility would be to say, hey, I can't interview that person. I know that person. Now, I would get the CV and I would not check this CV and I would not check me. And there are like, this is a controversial topic. And I see two schools. One school is checking CV, checking profile, and they want to learn about the candidate before the call. And I'm in the other camp, which is I don't want to know anything about this candidate. If I can interview a person without knowing their name, without knowing their voice, their gender, their background, if you can provide me process where I don't know nothing about that person, I can't know this, and it's a fair process. I would like to get that because there's a bias. And I've
Right.
learned over the years that I have pretty strong bias when I see CV. I see, for example, a CV and I see that the person was a manager. And I'm instantly like, that dude gonna be, or that dude, they're gonna be rusty. They're gonna be rusty. That's not gonna work. Right? And I see the person which has a lot of MS Azure experience, and let's say we we work a little bit differently at Meta than them. And I'm like, will this person fit in? Like, that's terrible. Like, I shouldn't be having those, right? And it's like, I know that I shouldn't, but you can't just switch off your mind. It's there, like, it's instantly there.
Right.
And I stopped doing this, and I realized that it's worked much better for me. I will give you the case. I had a guy, and I like this guy. He had a good interview, but not good enough. And I did not, the person did not went through my loop. So I said no higher decision. Here and here there are gaps, right? And I sometimes would check CVs and profile after. And I'm checking this guy, and he was publishing in Nature magazine. And I was like, this dude is 10 times smarter than me. He's like doing some like genetics, voodoo, magic, Nature magazine. And I'm like, I just failed this guy. Like, I can tell you for sure, if I know upfront that this is a person who published in Nature magazine, that interview would look different. Like, I would be like, oh, tell me this thing, you very smart, wise person. And I want to avoid that. I have this bias,
Right.
so I really don't want to know anything about candidates. The bias is real, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. It means that I who was very very late in the hiring pipeline,
Right.
I would not check that. But you don't know, the pipeline is long. There are sourcers, screeners, interviewers. Like, for you to get to be picked up, your CV or whatever, to be actually on the interview, the process is long, right? And those people may have different opinions on that. Yeah.
What part of data engineering do you think actually could be automated, or all of it could be? I mean, have you ever worked on any?
Is the question right now, or is the question theoretically in the future?
Maybe in next 1 to 2 years, maybe.
I think right now, next, like, I'm a little bit more skeptic. So I for sure like sell, like, all the smart retries and all the smart kind of handling operational tasks. Like, hey, this pipeline failed. And nowadays, data engineer goes and do the debugging and tell, like, after 30 minutes, says like, actually upstream is broken. Like, I think those kind of things could be automated in a smart way with AI agents right now, and to have like a really smart handling of all the operational mess you have right now nowadays. Restarting pipelines, finding that the upstream is failed, all of that can be done. Generating, boosting your performance with, like, I don't know, unit tests, mock data, config generations. Those will work very very nicely. But I don't think we are, even in 2 years now, closer to really replace a data engineer, right? Even like when you think about writing SQL, right?
Right.
AI can
Right.
write SQL. It can write really good SQL, but it needs to know your schemas. It needs to know all the details
Right.
about data quality, governance, this or that, right? So until like it gathers all the context, business and data, it's really hard for me to write really good SQL. So I think that's a short term. Short term, I don't think many things are easily replaceable right now. But long term, there are gonna be a lot of things. Like, there are like quite a couple of exciting roads I think it could go.
The reason I asked this question was because a few months back, I was in a workshop where a healthcare consulting company was presenting one of its data engineering agent, where they tried to automate few of the aspects in their company itself, and the tasks were majorly around fitting some external data into the data model, and could be generating new schema on the go, something like that. And now a few months, not few months, but in fact few weeks back, I was casually checking out Twitter thread, and I found a data engineering agent by a company that they claim that they are building an AI data engineer, right? Now they do not claim that they are going to automate 100% of the work, but they say that maybe they increase efficiency by 30 to 50%. And that data engineering agent that they built, what it was doing is that maybe you just decide what the source should be. It automatically creates a DAG pipeline. It creates
Yeah.
airflow and
Yeah.
all other processes. So this is
So
something that they were doing.
yeah, I think so. That's okay, right? If they are not, making wide claims, and if they really can do it, that's great. That's not a threat, because
Right.
I don't know any single data engineering manager who tells, yeah, that's great. Team is good, big enough. I don't need any more people. Like, don't give me headcounts. I don't need anyone, right? Every single data engineering manager I know, they will tell you, hey, yes, if you give me headcounts, I will find a lot of work. So if it can boost productivity, now this productivity will be spent on those additional scopes. So that's fine. Now, all the things you described, they will work fine where the data is in good shape. Like you're saying, okay, let's decide on what kind of source
Right.
the data should be built. That's great, but if you have three sources and all of them has user ID, which is exactly the same, the same schema, it's called
Right.
user ID,
Right.
but you don't know that in one source you have half of the company user IDs, on the other source you have the second half, and on the third one you actually have external customers mixed with this and that, right? Like without, if AI don't really understand this context, it will pick up those
Right.
sources and it will tell you like that's it, but that's BS, because it's not this.
Right.
So I think that the game changer here will be if we are structuring the data with AI in mind. Metadata, proper governance, definitions, and all the things like that. The more things like this, the better work will those agents do.
Okay, one question here. Let's say if it were for us, let's say we have to, no, we have to have this conversation in our office and with our seniors. How should we initiate this conversation of getting promoted or getting a promotion?
So you are starting, you're going to your boss and you're saying, hey boss, why I'm not getting promoted?
Is that
I
the
mean,
way
how
it
you
should
should
be?
start. If that's the question, you should. I would do this. I would just rephrase it, and I would frame it instead of, "Hey, dude, why I'm not getting promoted?" to, "Hey, dude, how I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to understand your expectations, like how you would expect me to act so that you consider me up for promotion, right?" So instead of saying give me a promo, you're saying, hey, I really want to understand a little bit better your expectations, how I can how I can do, what you would be that those things you expect from me to to be considered, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the discussion you want to have, right? You don't want to ask, like, if you ask, hey, why I'm not getting promo, is past, is focused on the past. It's like, you're not getting promo because whatever this or that, or you could do this better, you could do that better, right? But if you frame it that way, what you're getting, what you try to get, is the clarity from your senior, from your manager, like, hey, I expect you to do this or that, right? And for example, I could tell you, hey, like, I would expect people, like, if you are promoted, you become senior data engineer, for example. You are now data engineers. If I promote you, you would be senior data engineer. Those are the things I expect from senior data engineers. You need to, for example, own the entire area and not just operate task based, right?
Right.
I don't have any single senior
Right.
engineer who operates task based. We do area. Here are where you are right now. You're operating task based. To get you need to get there, and let's work together. How you can get there? Like, let's prepare a plan. Maybe I will give you a little bit more scope, or maybe on certain types of projects, instead of breaking things down to you, maybe I will, they should do it proactively anyway, but let's say they are lagging, they could give you, okay, now chop it yourself, break it down to smaller chunks and prepare the execution plan and do it yourself. But that way they tell you, like, those are the expectations, here you are, Like those are the things you can do to fill the expectations. That would be the perfect conversation you have. Of course, I can't promise you that conversation. There are bad managers out there, but you want to be focused on what they need from you, where are you right now, and how you can get what they expect from you.